output, Q, which equals 20,000 divided by 10,000 equals, no, it's the other way around. What have I got here? It's 10,000, excuse me, divided by 20,000 is equal to $0.05. Is this difficult? Tell me, is this difficult? No, this is not difficult. Don't forget it. Because that, when I want to step up, I'm going to say, here's the diagram. It's not difficult. It's just, well, duh, I can do this. This is not a problem. Oh, Emma, here's a question before you go. Is marginal cost increasing or decreasing? Now, see if you can answer that question. Yeah.
Increasing.
Why do you say that?
Because the last average fixed cost is 20 cents. So the average worker is costing more than they can produce.
Yeah. So again, this isn't mysterious if you actually stop and think about it. Okay, wait a minute. Our new worker, the average cost of an additional unit is 50 cents. Up until now, the average cost is 30 cents. So the marginal cost is higher than the average. What's going to happen to the average? It's going to go up, right? Not huge, but it's going to go up. If the marginal cost is higher than the average, it must be higher than the average. It must be rising. Otherwise, it's not possible. Okay? Now, so all this stuff, now I'm going to switch into the diagram. It's just as straightforward and simple as this. So you've got to think in these terms, and I've got to think in diagrammatic terms. So watch. So now define average cost as the average cost of a unit of output. Total cost divided by Q. It divides into average variable cost plus average fixed cost, right? Average variable cost is the average cost of the variable cost. Average fixed cost is the average cost for fixed cost. Marginal cost is the change in total cost and the change in Q. Now watch this. We did this last day. Many people will say that it's the change in the variable cost divided by the change in Q. I like the broader definition because it encompasses the lesser definition. Literally, margin. Now, by the way, why didn't you include in there any of the fixed costs? Why didn't you? Huh? Yeah, but it turns out because the fixed costs are fixed, they're not changing. They're fixed. And if you said, this is the cost, the fixed cost, and the total cost of producing the original, whatever it was, 5 million units or whatever it was. And now this is the extra cost. It has nothing to do with what you do is the total cost. It would be that plus this plus the fixed cost. There's no change in the fixed cost. This is incredibly important. The fixed cost, marginal cost, has nothing to do with fixed cost. Nothing whatsoever. Fundamental. All right, so now notice this derivation, then I'll draw the diagram. So total cost is the wage rate, which is assumed to be given. We're talking competition for the moment. Labor, which can change, it is variable. R, which is given, it's the opportunity cost. Capital, which is fixed. How do these things change relative to the change in Q? Well, this doesn't change at all. So this just drops out. Therefore, the change in total cost relative to the change in Q is the change in variable cost relative to the change in Q. So those two are the same. Again, W doesn't change. So this becomes, over here I'm just doing the calculus notation. W doesn't change. So this is W times the change in L divided by the change in Q. Right? Well, that is change in L over change in Q is 1 over change in Q divided by change in L, which is this. because no, change in L divided by change in Q is this. So marginal cost is W divided by 1 over this. All right, this should be reversed, right? I should say this is that. We've got, it's just W, sorry. W times that is the same as W divided by, let's change this. Like this, right? So this is, I just reversed it, notice. And this underneath is the marginal product. And that is our result. So here we are. Because marginal product rises and falls, for that reason and none other, now I'm going to plot marginal cost. On the vertical axis is cost per unit. On the horizontal axis is output. Therefore, we have this. Marginal cost, as marginal product rises, marginal cost falls. As when marginal product is at a maximum, remember the wage rate is fixed. Marginal cost is at a minimum, and when marginal product falls, marginal cost goes up. There's a step tension there. Now you might say, well, where does it actually start? Well, we start way, way up here, because it's small units. But we'll just do this, right? Marginal cost, right like that. Okay. Now then, marginal cost. Okay, watch everybody. No screw-ups whatsoever. Here we are. Average cost. They basically start, if they started at like way up here, they would be exactly the same place. But then that would be way up there, kind of infinitesimal. So let's start with approximately the same right here, right here. And then I'm going to go down here. And this is, we call this average variable cost. So you can copy that down. Make sure you can draw that. Like that, right? There's the average variable cost. Now, that's a variable cost, but it's the average of it. It has nothing to do with the fixed cost, right? Good. Did you all copy that down? Did you all copy it down? Yeah, go ahead. That's right. I hope you did not draw that. That's a piece of junk. We're never going to do that because notice, the minimum must be where it cuts it. That's the only thing that's relevant for you guys. Okay, good. So we have this. Looks more like this. Then it rises. Now you'll notice again, if marginal cost is rising, average cost must be rising. And if marginal cost is above average cost, such as I just had another example, it must be that marginal cost is rising. Right? Although you could hear marginal cost is rising, but it's below average variable cost. Okay, now, let's figure out fixed cost. What do you think? Fixed cost will be like this. Okay, you got some fixed cost, so it's really big, like 100 million or whatever, like a million. Way, way up there. You finally get onto the page here, and this, notice all this ever does is constantly get smaller and smaller. It's a fixed amount. In our case, fixed cost was $1 million. The more you produce, the cheaper it is. The more you produce, the cheaper it is according to the fixed cost, the average fixed cost. Okay. And now, we're going to see that I'm going to be able to get rid of this curve. I'm going to be able to get rid of this curve eventually. But there's another curve that we always want. We're going to want marginal cost, and now we're going to have average cost, which is the sum of average fixed cost and average variable cost. So let's just look at it right here. For example, suppose I drew a line like this, just for the sake of an argument. This is average variable cost at this output, right? This is the average cost of the labor. let's take that thing and add it to this to get a point on the average cost, the total average cost, right? Because that's the sum of average fixed and average variable. So that'll be 1 point up there. Then let's also do the same kind of thing over here. Notice here, ooh, average fixed cost, in this case, no, I shouldn't do that, I'll do it the other way around. And I could do it that way. That's okay. Now I'm going to take this, the fixed cost right here, look at it. Right? There's the average fixed cost, I'm going to add this to this. Notice, by the way, the distance between these two is getting closer and closer because average fixed cost is falling, falling, falling. I'll do this the other way around, by the way, just to make it simpler. Hang on a second. Just for your purposes. To make things simple, I'm going to bring this in, say up here somewhere. It doesn't matter where it cuts. It can cut here, it can cut anywhere, it's irrelevant. All that matters is it gets like this, right? So then here, what I want is this is average fixed cost. Now in this case, I'm going to add it to average variable cost so you can see what I really want. And you can see as average fixed cost gets smaller and smaller, average cost, which I'm going to draw now, from here down to here, right? There we go. Notice, the further I go out, the closer average cost is to average variable cost, because of course fixed cost is falling. Over here is average fixed cost. Okay? So marginal cost or average cost is quite above, getting this out of the way for the moment, quite a bit above average variable cost initially, because fixed cost, average fixed cost is quite high. It's not all about it, but the more fixed cost you have, the more average fixed cost falls, so we get closer and closer over there. Let's put this back in there again. So, how do you like my average cost function? People in the back, what do you say? How do you like my average cost function? Look at it carefully. Yeah. Yeah. I actually don't care whether you can draw it parallel. So I'm going to get this sucker out of the way here for the moment. And as it is, I'm going to draw average cost kind of parallel to average fixed cost. This isn't the end of the world. It's not good, it's not great, but the key thing, I'm trying to make it parallel, I'm not succeeding. But supposing that was more close to parallel. What really counts is the minimum. Everybody, the minimum always counts. Okay, good. Now, my clever people, I want you to take a piece of paper and draw for me. Average cost, marginal cost, average variable cost, average fixed cost, average cost, and proper annotation of the diagram. And I'll reward you with your exam.